Carolina Insider is presented by Wells Fargo, official sponsor of Carolina Athletics.
Appreciate you being here on the Carolina Insider. We've talked a lot of football so far. Let's change gears. Let's talk a little basketball. And how about some women's basketball? Carolina coming off a great year, 29 wins, a Sweet 16 appearance. But Courtney Banghart and her group wants more. Had a chance to catch up with Coach Banghart, now in her 7th year as the head coach of the Tar Heels. She sat down with Adam Lucas and me in our studio earlier in the week.
What's happening in women's basketball world right now is we're getting close.
We sure are. Yeah, October is the best month for college coaches because this is when you build your foundation. We are building kind of who we're going to be so that we can tweak when opponents start to show on our schedule. So it's a lot of time together. It's a lot of time on the court. There's some good days and some bad days, which is part of the journey. And so a lot of film and just build.
Do you have an early feel of what this group is going to be? Because 60% gone from your offense, but 8 players back. So Some people have been there, but maybe you're asking for bigger roles from them. Kind of what are you getting an idea yet?
We've got a lot of talented newcomers, and then we've got a lot of experienced on our roster kids that maybe haven't had as many minutes, but they've been a part of us, right? So they've been building and seeing what we're about. I would say it's a little early to know. I think we've got bright spots, and we've got areas of growth. It takes an enormous amount of toughness and relentlessness and consistency to win at the highest level. And I think when you haven't done that, it's too early to tell because you don't want the highs to cloud you and you don't want the lows to defeat you, right? So we're just continually putting days together and finding out our excellence needs to be our habit, and we're still building that.
The days when you don't need anyone new, I think, are over. When you just bring everyone back. When you're out looking for someone who you feel like is going to fit, other than the ability to put the ball in the basket, what are you looking for?
Yeah, well, they have to fit what our needs are at that time, right? And so you look at your roster and what you're built about, and then where are the holes, whether that's in the recruiting process of the young guys or whether that's in the recruiting process of the portal. It actually makes you even pickier for the younger guys because they have to be better than who you might be able to get in the portal or be able to contribute in a way that can make the portal less interesting to you. And so, you annually, it's much more of an annual experience maybe than it was in the past. But really the way I've coached my teams all along is it's pretty annual because everybody's role, to your point, Jones, everybody's role is different year to year. Their growth is different. Their process is different. And so, it's just, we are looking for whatever fits the team at that time and where our holes are.
Do you have a philosophy of how to best use the portal versus how to best use recruiting? Is that a year-by-year type of answer, depending on what you need for your team? How have you kind of gotten your arms around all that?
It's still a work in progress. I think the rules keep changing. Yeah. And don't forget, when I took this job this is my 7th year, there was no portal, there was no NIL, there was no COVID. I mean, the job has really changed dramatically. I think I try to keep the main thing, which is anyone you bring into your program, whether that's staff or players, they have to be a home run. They have to be a home run as a talent, as someone who has great potential, as a character fit. And now that you're attaching some financial value to that, it's as important as it's ever been, right? That you are bringing in home runs. And if you do that, the details of the things we just mentioned, those become the details.
Is it, and I know probably the answer to this is it doesn't matter if it's comfortable. Is it comfortable for you? I mean, you're talking to agents now, and in addition to kids and parents and coaches and all those things. Is that comfortable for you? Have you had to get comfortable doing that? How's all that?
I mean, the circle you've always, especially when you're recruiting young women, there's a circle of influence that they're going to have that you have to build a relationship with, because not only do you need it to understand them more to make sure they're a home run, but when they're here, ensure that it's a home run, right? And so their circle of influence has always been important. There's just now a bigger circle. And not only is that circle, just because it's bigger, does that mean it's better? Sometimes it's actually more confusing and maybe more inconsistent. And so we try to weed that out pretty quick, and try to figure out who do we need to talk to, is in the most important bucket. And then who we have to talk to is in another bucket, and we'll hit both buckets. But the need to category is going to make sure that we hit the home run.
There's portal and there's high school recruiting. Mm-hmm. And here these last couple of years, there's international. Yeah. You've racked up some miles these last couple of years. What What's that like, and why is that an element that can work?
Well, I was wishing, I wish my international recruiting was sexier, right? They don't put these tournaments in like Bora Bora. I remember when I was in somewhere in South America, I was sitting at dinner one night and I had my phone right next to me, right? And this guy came over as if he was selling socks. And I was like, no, thank you. And I watched him grab my phone and run off. And I was like, well, what? You just stole my phone. And here I am in a foreign country, right? So, and then another place I went, when I went to Irapuato, Mexico, I had to get presidential sign-off because it wasn't safe enough to attend without presidential sign-off, right? So I want to make sure everybody knows when we're out there recruiting, we're not putting our feet up and having nice meals. And
you're not at the Milan Open.
No. Maybe some sports are, not women's basketball. So anyway, it's been I always say, yeah, exactly right. There are three components. There's high school, there's international, and there's transfer. And you have to hit home runs. And it would be irresponsible for a brand as big as North Carolina to not have a presence in all three. And the international space has been really good to us. Some of our talent is right from the international space, that's been really to us. I think we brought in a couple even this year.
You had no ties to Carolina when you came here. Do you feel like a Tar Heel now?
Yeah, I love that question, because even to this day, when I'm around and in town, people literally stop me and say, thanks for being our coach. Like, there is a kindness and a generosity of spirit that the Carolina fans and the Carolina people have. There's not an entitlement, right, of like, well, we're Carolina. I know people think that or on the outside, but it's a place that genuinely values people and values your time and effort. And with how much time and effort this profession requires, the gratitude that I feel from others that I've chosen it and that I've given it my best, it matters. And so, interestingly, my sister is from Chapel Hill. I don't know if you guys know that.
Remember that?
Hilarious, right? Because when I had gotten the job, I didn't tell her until I got it. She had never told me how much she loved living in Chapel Hill. And I asked her that. Why didn't you tell me how much you loved living in Chapel Hill? And she said, well, who would have thought my little sister would be the basketball coach at North Carolina? I said, a lot of people thought that was possible, right? And so it's a wonderful community. And I feel like the gratitude, like I said, I think the gratitude that people appreciate their coaches and appreciate their student athletes for the effort that we're giving for the brand is felt every day.